Were there any enemies of the Anishnaabe at Bawating?
Well, we there was a time in the 1600s when we had. It wasn't long after the settlers arrived here from all over the world. A lot of the, what do they call the guy, explorers. You know, when the explorers first came here and they claimed they discovered this area. Well, don't believe that, because we discovered them. They were lost, and if anybody discovered anybody, we discovered them. So when we discovered them, they were told that we were the government here. We were in charge, and they needed to do things the way we do things. And over time, more and more of them came, and they started to bring their own language and their own culture, and it really became clouded. So there became a lot of confusion amongst ourselves. Originally, we were a people of peace, and we are still a people of peace, but there was a time in the 1600s after these people started coming here that we forgot our peaceful ways, and we started to come up with these barriers around, this is my land, this is my stuff, and we were kind of getting a little greedy, and we started to fight other tribes. And we realized after a few years that that's not our way, that we are a peaceful people, and we started to have treaties, or we started to have reconciliation, or we started to have peace with those tribes once again. One of the tribes that we went to war with is called the Dakota tribe. Does anybody know the Dakota tribe? Ever heard of the Dakota tribe? The Dakota tribe is a tribe in the eastern prairies of Canada and the United States, and they're related to the Lakota and the Nakota. But the Dakotas, we actually have a treaty with them, and our treaty is in the form of a big drum with the Dakota Nation. And the Dakota Nation gave us this big drum as a sign of peace between our nations, between our people, and how it's put together. So the Dakota provided us with the big drum as a peace treaty between the Dakotas and the Ojibwe. So that's like a contract. That's like a peace document. That's how we formulated that. That's really strong. It's a spiritual resolution to our war with the Dakotas. We also had a war with the Haudenosaunee. You call them Nadewiks, Ongwehoe. They're the Iroquois Confederacy, or the Longhosts. The Haudenosaunee are the Mohawks, the Senecas, the Cayugas, the Oneidas, the Onondagas. And there are a couple more that are joined in with that alliance, including the Tabagos, or the Tobacco, and I believe I can't be sure, there's also the Nanticokes were a part of that. And did I say Delaware? But anyway, we went to war with them. Again, we forgot our peaceful history. And in that instance, we came up with a wampum belt after that war, which is a whole bunch of white abalone shell. You know what an abalone shell is? You ever see a smudge bowl? And that smudge bowl is made out of like a seashell. That's abalone. But those abalone shells were cut up into small beads, and that's what they made this belt out of. And this belt had symbols on it, and this particular belt that we had created between ourselves, this is before the settler treaties on paper. This is our paper, this is our document, this is how we did things, this is how we formalized really important things. So this belt was a friendship belt between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishnaabe, the Ojibwe, and that it was a sign of how we were going to be friends, both peoples. And that was a friendship wampum that we created with the Haudenosaunee. So we did have wars, but we also made commitments, and we buried the hatchet, is what they said. And what we actually did was that we buried our war clubs under the tree of peace. So we don't go to war anymore. We don't go to arms or go to weapons to defend our ways now. We exhaust all peaceful means to try and resolve our differences, even with the government that's here today, the Canadian government that's here today. We don't always get along, but I will only endorse, and our leadership will only endorse peaceful resolution. We have to resolve things peacefully. We have to take the time to sit down and talk amongst each other and do things in a good way, remembering all of these grandfather teachings and how we conduct ourselves as a people and as a nation as we relate with other nations. So we try to do things peacefully, and that's why we have these things as reminders for us to do things peacefully, kindly, in a loving way. Okay? Thank you.